Hello. So, I'm here to show off three things, basically. How to make a replay longer than 1 hour, how to make a replay have more accurate timing, and how to abuse replays to make a tool-assisted run. And so there's not a whole lot that goes into this other than just showing it off. So, first of all, I'll show the results of the task, because this took me a while to make. That was the wrong button. It's not super polished, but it's probably pretty obvious that this wasn't done in one go. Around this time I started... Oh right, there's a few points where I scouted by accident, and I thought it was a glitch, so I didn't think it was part of the replay. And I'm just not interested in getting rid of it. There it is. So that's what you can do with that. There was a double cross near the end of that, which is pretty cool. So this is our guinea pig. So the first one is simply how to make a replay longer than 1 hour. So I have a save state here that has both a replay and a timer set to very close to 1 hour. And so what this is all about is, like, every time you pause the game before this timestamp, or complete the map before this timestamp, before the 1 hour timestamp, it won't save the replay. Like, right now it has saved the replay 59 minutes and 56 seconds in. And essentially, so this is at 59:58.48, right? Very close to death. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to go into the Stats.dat file, which contains oh, by the way, this is HXD, this is my hex editor. It's useful for a few reasons. So Stats.dat contains player position, player rotation, player momentum, and maybe one or two other things I'm not entirely sure of. But anyway, here's the this is our timer. It's at 35:98.48. So I'll come back to that, because right now I'm just going to set it to 1. And then when I go back in to this level, oh, by the way, the reason you don't want to set it to 0 is because it will actually reset the replay if you do that. I forgot to save it. Okay, that was kind of close. But anyway, as you can see, the timer has effectively been reset, and I'm still actually recording the replay. However, it's not going to save my replay because the map is already completed. So let me fix that by changing a couple values. And then, as you can see, it's no longer completed. And now it should save the entire replay. Because if I go back to the replay, first of all, it didn't, I think. Okay, never mind, it absolutely did. At least for the incomplete one. So if I go in here... Yeah, so it's from the very start. Even if it is very stretched timer, because the time saved to the replay is the one that's in Stats.dat for some reason. But this is a fixable issue, because I now have this time that is 18.15, and so if I add that onto 3,500, 99.78 actually, because that's the actual point that I reset the timer. You know, it's 1 hour 17 seconds and 93 centiseconds. So I can actually just set this in the map file, because this value is here. So I can just fix it manually, and it's just about as good. And there it is. I have not yet figured out how to properly update a replay listing, mostly because I'm too stupid to find them, and I haven't bothered looking that hard because I don't think it matters that much. But yeah, now, like, the replay timer is still not fixed, but that's where I'll get into the next bit. So I can just fix the replay timer by Jesus Christ, by writing directly to this value, except this isn't a float. This is actually just in standard int32 format. So if I set this to 3617 and now return to the map, is this the correct replay? No, it isn't. It saves the normal replay separately in this file. So I have to now set it correctly in here. Like for the completed replay, I have to save it in here. And then now it should be fine. Yeah. But that's not really enough for me, because you know, I have this this time here. Well, what I can do is I can just open up, I'll use my web browser as a calculator, what the hell. It just gives me this value, which I will now 217,076, because it's an integer. And this should theoretically give me a more accurate timer. And now if I load it, it counts at pretty much the same speed, but it's shifted over to the next set of numbers. And also it doesn't count in hours anymore, but for most people that shouldn't be an issue because they don't actually record replays that are longer than 1 hour. So if you're just trying to fix an existing replay, this isn't a huge thing. And this is pretty much a novelty, like you don't actually have to do this. You would only really have to modify this like as a mandatory thing if you want your replay timer to just reflect the actual time of the map in any way. But this does look really cool, and it is also quite useful because let's say I wanted to say, well, go to 21 minutes and 49 seconds to look at this exact frame. Well, it's hard to kind of describe that, but if I said 2149.42, then it gets obvious. And so I'm kind of interested in what decimal this lands on. That's pretty much right. So that's what I've got for that. So it is probably at least worth showing off how I task. So for this, I'm going to be using the same map that I used to test tasking the very first time, which is cheated map, which is literally just a stack of Legos with no platforms that you have to climb. So if I go in here, I've enabled toggle sprint for the purpose of doing this. And just to kind of show it off, the way this works is I have tools in my, I guess just my tools directory that I've put on my path that I just put random shell scripts on that make using Linux easier, so that I wouldn't have to type out these commands every time. This didn't work. So it's basically just the copy commands. But this was supposed to be tracking how many times I had to load a save state to track total re-records. I was just doing it in a really stupid way overall, so it didn't really work out. Because, for example, I could make a bash script basically run a tasking shell that would allow me to explicitly count how many re-records I had, just, within a script itself. But I didn't do that. So it just copies, like when it's loading a save, it copies the save name that I specify as the first argument of the command, and it copies it to replay incomplete and Stats.dat, because it has to save both of them for position and replay data. And the same thing goes for the make save sister command of it. And so if I'm here, I can restart, and I'm now here. And that's too much speed, so I'm just going to restart again. And this is a favorable bump at the start. That is not. And I'm basically just waiting for something to get going that is not falling immediately. Such as that. And then okay, this is being bad. So I think I will have to start I'll manually go to the directory just for the purpose of giving... What am I doing? It's not actually... Okay, there we go. And now it should do this. Thank you. It was looking for a file with a different inode before. But anyway, if I fall like that, then I can just pause and then load the same save, and then I'm back here. And I can just repeat this process until I get something favorable. Which apparently the game does not want me having. I think that is worth saving. I don't know why I just, called it 4, but it's save 4 now. And that was just bad Lego timing. So that was also bad Lego timing. Because every time you load a save state, your Lego global timer gets bad. And I probably should have saved, but I didn't. And that's pretty much the gist of tasking this game. Pause buffering and save stating. Although you can actually splice replays in this game without too many issues. I'll get into that another time. Okay, yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, there we go.